Hello and welcome to Footprints. I'm Ningjing. Zafar Uddin Mahmood, former Special Assistant to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and President of the Pakistan-based initiative Understanding China Forum, first came to China in the 1970s and spent decades here as a diplomat. I met Zafar in Beijing recently, where he was on a whirlwind of conferences and forums. Having personally witnessed China's reform and opening up from the late 1970s onward, he offers his perspective on the country's modernization drive from 1949 to today, and on why understanding China matters not only to Pakistan but to the wider world. Here's our conversation. Mr. Zafar, thanks for coming on the show. You first came to China as an overseas student in the 1970s and have since spent several decades living and working in China, particularly in the field of diplomacy. Could you briefly share with us some highlights from your remarkable career?
Thank you so much. Yes, I came to China in 1976. And it's a very interesting story that why I came to China, because I had the opportunity of reading a Chinese magazine called China Pictorial. It was available in Pakistan in our language, and I started reading it. And then I came to know about China, this very beautiful, splendid country full of culture and so many other things. So therefore, I decided to come as a student to learn the language first and then do my graduation. Immediately after graduation, I started working for an international bank's office in Beijing. And I worked for that bank till 1991. So during these almost 10 years, my association with an international bank, I had the opportunity of working with the Chinese companies who were trying to expand their business in international markets, especially in Asia, Africa, Europe, and America, etc. So that provided me yet another opportunity to become a kind of a partner in China's economic reforms and assisting these Chinese companies to go global. Later on, I started working as a diplomat, started in fact in 1998. So I was working as commercial consular at the embassy in Beijing. I worked here till 2002. And then later on, I became the first consul general at Shanghai from 2004 to 2009. And my last assignment was as special envoy for CPEC, as you have mentioned. That was from 2015 to 2017.
China and Pakistan have enjoyed a long-standing friendly bilateral relationship marked by robust cultural and economic exchanges. Your long diplomatic career has allowed you to witness all that. Could you share with us some memorable moments or milestones that you've personally observed in the China-Pakistan relationship?
You are absolutely right that Pakistan and China, since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two countries in May 1951, we were among the first few countries who recognized People's Republic of China as the legitimate representative of the Chinese people. Our relationships between the two countries are going from strength to strength in all spheres, starting from the economic cooperation, cultural exchanges, military cooperation, and so on and so forth. Even in the early days of 70s, Pakistan and China jointly constructed a road. So that was a very difficult project for both the countries because there was no heavy machinery, new technology, and the terrain was very difficult. It was 4,000 meters above the sea level, so constructing a road was really tough. But we did it together. Then in 70s, China offered us help and they constructed two huge industrial complex in Pakistan. We call them HMC and HEC, the heavy mechanical complex and heavy electronic complex. So that made the beginning of economic cooperation. And then we have the exchange of delegations of writers, and so on and so forth, coming from both sides to each other. This consolidated the relationship and people-to-people contact in those difficult days. So there was a general sentiment of friendship with China among the Pakistani people, because whenever there was a time of need, a difficulty, the Chinese government was the first one to outreach us and offer assistance as much as it was possible. From 71 afterwards till today, we are sitting in 2025, almost 50 years. So there have been improvement and strengthening of relations throughout these few decades.
You've spent several decades living in China, and you've seen firsthand China's reform and opening up, its rapid economic growth, and its modernization drive. What is your perspective on China's modernization journey?
Well, I think I was very fortunate to have the opportunity of living in China during that very exciting period of time. And I spent from 1977 to 82 in Guangzhou, which was at the forefront of the economic reforms. I had visited Shenzhen at that time when it was a very small fishing village, and so was Guangzhou, was not very developed countries. And of course, the whole China was like that. But because the opening up and the economic reforms in the initial stage, they started from Guangdong province. The first of 4 special economic zones were in Guangdong, the Shenzhen, Zhuhai, and Shantou, and the 4th one was in Xiamen. So the focus of opening up and reforms, it was initiated in southern China. So I had the opportunity of witnessing that. So to be present at a place and to witness how things are happening, today, if I sit today, it is really unbelievable and remarkable achievement which the Chinese people have achieved within a short period of time and through their own hard work without any help from anybody. So this is something which the world has now not only recognized, but everybody is trying to follow this China's development model. Because China has so many unique things. It is a huge population, a country with almost 1.4 billion people, a massive population, and the basic infrastructure was almost none. There was no industry, so to say, and then it developed so rapidly. So I think the credit goes to the leadership of the Communist Party of China. They provided the right direction and they provided all the necessary support to the people. And then, of course, the contribution of the very, very hard-working Chinese people who has a desire to learn wherever they go. I can speak for a very long time because I had so many stories to tell and share. But I think what China achieved during all these years, I can summarize in 2 things. That there is no individual or human being in the entire globe which one way or the other has not used a product made in China. Whether you go to Africa, Latin America, the poorest of the poor, the richest of the rich, I'm sure that in their lifetime they must have used one product which is made in China. That is one thing which is really remarkable. No other country, I think, has been able to do that. And the second is bringing 800 million people out of poverty with China's own efforts. So these are 2 remarkable things which I think they are the result of this modernization.
You once served as the special envoy for the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC. Could you tell us more about what that role entailed?
Well, I think the background was that President Xi Jinping had announced a grand initiative which is called the Belt and Road Initiative. And it was to share China's development with the other countries of the world. So we, being a close neighbor of China and perhaps not a part of the roots of the BRI, so the both government decided that we should have a new platform to accelerate the economic cooperation between the 2 countries, and it was named China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So at that time, our country was passing through a very big crisis of shortage of electricity, and we do not have electricity for almost 12 hours a day, even in the big cities of Pakistan, which was causing a lot of difficulties for the common people. We are a country with a very hot weather, and then of course that was also affecting the economic development. So as part of CPEC, our Prime Minister requested the Chinese government to help us to control this crisis and have electricity supply, otherwise it will affect the whole country. So I could say with a lot of confidence that within a very short period of time, with the help of the Chinese companies and support of the Chinese government, we were able to overcome the shortage of electricity within a period of less than 3 years, which was not easy because we are a big country of 250 million people. So within a short period of time, bringing such heavy equipment from China to Pakistan, and we don't have any such big power plants in our country earlier. So the Chinese companies worked really hard, and Chinese government provided all the support, not only the financial but the other logistic supports, and we were able to overcome that. Then we also have a lot of bottlenecks in the communication network, like the roads and all that. So these gaps were also filled. So now our country from north to south, we are connected through a network of roads. We also operationalized a new port, because earlier we have only one seaport, which is in Karachi. Then we have another seaport now in Gwadar, which is functional. So I think this brought fundamental changes in the lives of the common people, because electricity is used by almost 90% of the population in our country. So before, in the big cities, for 12 hours there was no electricity. And in the rural side, maybe some days, 20 hours, there was no electricity. So you can imagine that within such a short period of time, everybody has electricity. So their lives changed. And so far, the industrial development was concerned, of course, since we have the abundant supply of electricity. So it changed the whole spectrum of economic development in our country.
How do you assess the impact of CPEC? What concrete benefits has CPEC brought to both countries?
For both countries, I should say, yes, they have brought more benefits for the people of Pakistan. But as far as China is concerned, I could say that we are one of the biggest beneficiary of this BRI initiative, because we were able to attract more than $27 billion of Chinese investment within a short period of time. But coming to the benefit for the Chinese side is, of course, these Chinese companies were able to sell their equipment. They have to complete projects. So, they can also earn some profit through the process.
You are listening to Footprints. After completing his last diplomatic posting in China and returning home, Zafar founded the Understanding China Forum, convinced that the world needs a deeper grasp of today's China. Over the past several decades, you've been deeply involved in promoting cross-cultural understanding. Why is this important?
Yes, indeed. For the simple reason, as I have earlier told you, that I became interested in China through China Pictorial. So I thought the exchange of information, especially people to people, is very important. People in our country, because being a former colony of the British, we inherited a lot of cultural things from the UK, especially the English language. The people who are in the upper class, they always used Western media to get information about the world, including China. So I felt at a later stage that we have to look at China with our own eyes rather than with the eyes of the West, because they have their different point of view. So we have to look with the interest of Pakistan. Although every Pakistani, if you talk to him, he will say China is our best friend. But beyond that, they don't know much. They don't know anything about Chinese history or culture. Maybe everybody knows about the Great Wall of China, but how it was built, what was the background, nobody knows about that. What is the Chinese tradition? Yes, people are very familiar about the Chinese food because you can find it all over the world. So there's an introduction of China through the Chinese food, through the Great Wall of the People. Maybe many people have not seen, but they know there is a Great Wall. So I think that in order to enhance the understanding, one has to learn more and has to look at China through its own way. And perhaps the most important thing which I felt, more than culture perhaps, was the modern China. To understand what is modern China. Yes, history is very important and very good, but people live in the present. So therefore, it was important that people should know how China has achieved so much from 1949 till today. It is a remarkable change. It has never happened in the human history anywhere in the world for such a huge group of population. So I thought, while telling about culture, about history is very important, perhaps in the modern day it's equally important to share today's China.
You are the founder and president of Understanding China Forum. Why did you establish this forum? What are some of the key topics that have been discussed in the past sessions?
Why I started to set up this platform, as I said, that I had the opportunity of attending the first Understanding China conference held in Beijing by the CIIDS, it's called China Institute for Innovative Development Strategy. And I liked the idea. I thought this Understanding China is a very important subject and it is relevant to the entire world. Because I had been interacting with the people in Pakistan while there or while traveling and all that, and I found that there is a serious lack of understanding. It's not a misunderstanding, it's lack of understanding. People, they don't know anything about China. And whatever they know is through the Western media. So I thought there is a dire need to promote the understanding, let people know what real China is, not only culturally and all that, but also what is today's China, how does it stand in today's world. So at the first opportunity, because before I was busy and working for the government and all that, so I thought that I should establish this kind of a platform. So the objective was very simple. One, to share whatever little I know about China, and then organize activities wherein we can invite people who know more about China or some Chinese friends, and then we should continue this process of learning and understanding. So during the past few years, we had organized quite a few number of delegations with the help of the Chinese embassy and the consulate in Pakistan, media delegation, the delegations of senior former government officials, some scholars, and similarly we have organized many seminars and conferences in collaboration with some universities in Pakistan, in which we invite people and ask them to share their knowledge and wisdom, whatever they know about China. We talk about Chinese culture, Chinese history, but my focus is more on modern China, what China has achieved during these past few decades since 1949. And to my surprise, any of the people who had visited China through this platform, they, after going back, they said they had visited, some of them, they have visited China many times, but they said that they had never such an experience in which they have learned so much about China. Because before, if they were coming in an official capacity, coming, meeting, eating, and go back. So they have very little time to interact with the common people, with the think tanks and all that. So I am very happy that I am able to make some kind of a humble contribution to this very honorable process of promoting China's understanding to the world, particularly to the people of Pakistan.
As the founder of Understanding China Forum, what is your personal understanding of China? Do you mind sharing with us?
What I personally feel is that we have to make more efforts on our part in Pakistan to learn more about China, because it will be in the long run beneficial to Pakistan and Pakistani people. Now we have established China study centers at many big universities in Pakistan, not because of our efforts, but I think there is a desire to learn more about China. So more and more people are now working to understand China. So I think this is a very good development, and I'm very happy about that.
On many occasions, you've talked about your love for Chinese culture, and most recently, you were honored with the Cultural Envoy Award at the second Orchid Awards ceremony in Beijing. Congratulations! And what aspects of the country have stood out to you the most over the years?
Well, I think in short we can say it. One is the humbleness of the Chinese people. And the second is the very strong desire to learn. It is embedded in history, not from today. The Chinese people are always eager to learn about things. And then the hard work. So these are the three fundamental things. The humbleness of the Chinese people, strong desire to learn, and then lastly is the hard work. So in recent days, I have come to another point, and which is sharing, because President Xi is a strong advocate of the sharing. Whatever China has achieved, the China and the Chinese people, they want to share it with the world. The community of shared prosperity is a manifestation of Chinese people's very strong desire. So this does not come all of a sudden. This is a part of long Chinese traditional history, which has cultivated this thing in the DNA of the Chinese people to share whatever they have.
Mr. Zafar, thank you for your time. That was Zafar Uddin Mahmood, former Special Assistant to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and President of the Understanding China Forum. With that, we come to the end of this episode of Footprints. If you are interested in learning more incredible stories of individuals who have left their footprints in China, just key in Footprints and you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Ningjing. Bye for now.